So just as I say we aren't going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around, we aren't going to let any injunction turn us around.
Melanated Kings Monday, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
All we say to America is be true to what you said on paper. If I lived in China or even Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right.
Wow, what a time to be alive. Martin Luther King Jr. Day in 2020. Well, in this episode, we are looking at 7 unpopular facts about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Number 1, his name wasn't always Martin. So here's the deal. His father actually renamed him after his travels to Germany on a mission trip and became inspired by a German man named Martin Luther. So who was this German man that Martin Luther King Sr. wanted to rename his son after? So Luther was ordained to the priesthood in 1507. He came to reject several teachings and practices of the Roman Catholic Church. So essentially, the German Martin Luther was a priest, a monk, and an activist for the reformation of several teachings and practices of the Roman Catholic Church. And Martin Luther King Sr. just really admired that he was a revolutionary and decided that, he definitely wanted to be named after somebody that was in that category as he saw himself and saw the legacy for his son to be the same. Anyone wants to learn more about Martin Luther, just check in the description box below and you'll find some links. Once Michael King returned from Germany, he changed his own name to Martin Luther King and then Michael's name to Martin Luther King Jr. when he was 5 years old. Number 2, Martin Luther King was academically gifted. He skipped the 9th and 12th grade, which led him to attend Morehouse College at just 15 years old. Okay, I see you, Dr. King. I was skipping grades too. Click the like button if you ever skipped a grade. 3, he didn't always want to be a minister of the Baptist Church. He actually came from a long line of prominent people in the church and wanted to create a different narrative for himself. But just like many of us, no matter how hard-headed we are, his purpose called him back to his life's mission. A mentor of his, the president of Morehouse College, Benjamin E. Mays, guided him to an understanding of why it was so important for him to do so. So, after graduating with a sociology degree from Morehouse College, he went straight to Pennsylvania and attended the Crozer Theological Seminary. He was an officially ordained minister by 1951.
Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind.
In 1955, Martin Luther King Jr. became Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. at age 26 after traveling to Massachusetts and graduating from Boston University.
I accept the Nobel Prize for Peace at a moment when 22 million Negroes of the United States are engaged in a creative battle to end the long night of racial injustice. I accept this award on behalf of a civil rights movement which is moving with determination and a majestic scorn for risk and danger to establish a reign of freedom and a rule of justice.
Number 5. Dr. Martin Luther King went to jail over 10 times. In my opinion, he was arrested for petty crimes. One reason was for this thing called civil disobedience, which was why he was jailed more than half of the time. Some of you may be thinking, now, what the H-double hockey stick does civil disobedience mean? Civil disobedience is the refusal to obey certain laws or governmental demands for the purpose of influencing legislation or government policy, characterized by the employment of such nonviolent techniques as boycotting, picketing, and non-payment of taxes. Wow, so they were wrong either way. You're damned if you go all Nat Turner on them, and you're damned if you don't go all Nat Turner and lead a non-violent protest. So Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was not doing anything morally wrong. The United States at that time had just made it against the law for people of color and those in support of people of color to speak out or organize the community against the maltreatment and unfair segregation on the premise of the color of your skin, which, by the way, is a contradiction to the United States Constitution, And this is a great example of something I say often, which is just because it's legal doesn't mean it's right, and just because it's illegal doesn't make it wrong. I mean, slavery, among other horrible events, was legalized, but it didn't make it a just practice.
Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Fact number 6. He had several assassination pursuits against him before his death. When he was murdered by an assassin at age 39, it was not the first time he was pursued. On September 1958, during a book signing event for his book Stride Toward Freedom in Harlem, New York, he was literally minding his own business in the Bloomstein department, singing an excerpt from his book when a woman named Izola Ware Curry came up to him and asked him for his name. I thought that part was funny because you're at his event, so you know his name, hater. Anyway, he confirmed his name and she replied with, "I've been looking for you for 5 years," or something like that, as she attempted to kill him by stabbing him with a letter opener. With 7 inches of sharp pain plunged into his chest, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was rushed to the hospital, and with the help of emergency surgery, he made it out alive, and aorta intact. After a long surgery, the surgeons told Dr. King that if he had so much as sneezed during that time, he would have died. As for Izola, she passed away March 7th, 2015, at the stunning age of 98 in Jamaica.
Must be a commitment to the eternal principles of beauty, love, and justice. Don't allow anybody to pull you so low as to make you hate them. Don't allow anybody to cause you to lose your self-respect to the point that you do not struggle for justice. However young you are, you have a responsibility to seek to make your nation a better nation in which to live. You have a responsibility to seek to make life better for everybody.
Fact number 7. Dr. King felt like his dream turned into a nightmare.
Poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
As many of us know, on April 4th, 1968, at exactly 6:01 p.m., Dr. King was assassinated at the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee. The same Lorraine Motel is now a part of the National Civil Rights Museum in Memphis, Tennessee. After being shot, he did not die at the scene. Actually, he was rushed to St. Joseph's Hospital. There is some controversy about how he died at the hospital. Some reports say that he died due to the severity of his injuries, and others state him being smothered by a United States government official. That, of course, people say the United States government wouldn't possibly do something like that. I don't know. What do you guys think? On the contrary to what most people think, Dr. King didn't die still wanting his dream that he spoke of in his well-known "I Have a Dream" speech. As an incredible civil rights leader and the face of the non-violence movement to combat racial harassment, beatings, and even killings of people of color, over time, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had begun to change his mind about his dream. He realized that maybe his dream was ignoring the reality of the suffering and genocide of people of color.
I must confess that that dream that I had that day has at many points turned into a nightmare. Now, I'm not one to lose hope. I keep on hoping. I still have faith in the future. But I've had to analyze many things over the last few years, and I would say over the last few months. I've gone through a lot of soul-searching and agonizing moments, and I've come to see that we have many more difficult days ahead, and some of the old optimism was a little superficial, and now it must be tempered with a solid realism.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s story and history is documented by the narrative that he died wanting to end segregation. And at one point he did. With research, you will find that he started out with that dream. However, in time, his mind began to change. So, when he was assassinated by a man named James Earl Ray, survived the shot, and somehow still passed away in a hospital, he felt like his dream was more like a nightmare than a happy ending. As Dr. King stated, there is much more work left to be done. So how will you make it a point to do one thing in your life in honor of our ancestors' struggle through history? The struggle of truth, unity, and freedom. Hey, thank you for watching this episode of Melanated Kings Monday. Did you learn something new? If so, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, notification bell, like, comment, and share this video with a friend.
And so you must be involved in the struggle for freedom and justice. Now, in this struggle for freedom and justice, there are many constructive things that we all can do and that we all must do. And we must not give ourselves to those things which will not solve our problems.